Hello and a very good evening and welcome to the Hampton Football League online show. Great to have your company. No Matty Stewart this week. The big fella unavailable. He's on the outs, but I'll tell you what, we've brought in a very big in. And I speak none other than Greg Eyes-Callison from Hampton League Live. Eyesy, very good evening.
Good evening. Thanks for, I thought I must have done something wrong first round because I haven't been back since. But hey, great to be here, mate. Yeah, big round of footy, wasn't it?
It was a big round of footy, and I think the best thing about last weekend's round two is we had crowds back, which was absolutely sensational. We were over at Portland and Camperdown at Hamlin Park and had a pretty fair crowd over there.
Absolutely, and we were pretty fortunate because obviously we weren't around in the other grounds, but I reckon we might have got the best of the games too. It was pretty good.
Went down to the wire, and I'll tell you what, it was sort of hard to pick a winner midway through that last quarter because both sides were really going hard at it, weren't they?
Yeah, they do. Camperdown are going well, but equally Portland well, and have a crack, Hilly, don't they? I think we made the comment during the day that they're not very big. They're lads. They rely a lot on the big ruckman for size, but gee, as far as heart goes, get their head over the footy, they're going super. And
I think too, and we'll speak about the highlights very soon, but tell you what, it could be a great story for the Hampton League, wouldn't it? With you know, Portland in a good position at the moment to be potentially playing their first final series.
Yeah, absolutely, and that gives them that little bit of breathing space too within the five. I reckon the five's not far off being set, to be honest with you, Hilly, and I don't know what you think. I mean, I guess Warrnambool would be looking to improve strongly in the second half of the year, but gee, I tell you what, I think Portland will take some knocking out of there now.
Well, game clear in fourth, and yeah, as I said, gives themselves a really good position going into the bye, and I guess the next few weeks overall in the season is going to be a pretty crucial one to sort of suggest who's going to be in and who's going to be out.
Absolutely, and I guess the thing about Portland is, you know, they're young fellas. They're on the right road, which is what's exciting. But having said that, you don't know how far that group can take you into a long season as well. Yeah. So, yeah, look, it's exciting and it's great. But I tell you what, and they're well coached. You know, you can see that. You know, the coach has got their full respect, you know, and as I said, when young kids are putting their head over the footy and doing everything right, I reckon he'd be really proud of them.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, let's have a look at our match of the round highlights. It was the Portland Tigers taking on the Camperdown Magpies, and it was a pretty, I suppose, fast start in regards to goals. You know, some quick goals in that sort of first 12 to 15 minutes as we see Jason Walker going short with a nice option there and taking a nice one-handed mark. And he was a really pivotal player in that last term. Sam Gordon, isn't he? A good player.
Oh, he's a ripper. We can see he was probably a bit quieter, obviously, than the week before, but you can just see that he has the ability to tear a game apart, doesn't he?
Oh, absolutely. Zach's in it with a beautiful finish there, 40 on the run, and he's one of those youngsters from the Camperdown Magpies that's just flying at the moment. And Jason Robertson, they were happy to have him back in the lineup as well, and played a bit down forward, which is unusual for him, usually half-back Eyes, and kicked a beautiful goal there.
He did. So they're versatile, and you know, we spoke about Portland, but you've got to be pretty impressed with how Swaney's got the Camperdown Magpies going too. There, he can swing them around on the ground, and you know what I mean. He's got them going pretty well as a unit too.
Absolutely, and we just saw Toby Jennings kick a beautiful goal, and geez, he's having some sort of a season for a 19-year-old. Every week just get better and better.
Yeah, he does, mate. There's some exciting kids in our competition, isn't there? You know, it's a very youthful competition. And as I said, both of those sides, Camperdown and Portland, have got plenty of them themselves.
Absolutely. Second quarter, we saw some good marks and some good goals kicked, and Harrison Hampshire was here, did a nice bit of work, just really peeling off his opponent and trying to get it out of defensive 50. And you know, he's just one of the young kids that really stood up over the weekend.
Yeah, he was. Here's another one, ABSALOM. They're just littered with them on both sides, aren't they? But and high jumper numbers, mate, both sides, just to make it more difficult for us.
Don't they have the big numbers? I know the Tigers did with young Cade Lovell and also Jack Walsh, I think 80 and 92 respectively.
Yeah, exactly.
You wouldn't see many 92s running around in the competition.
No, I reckon he's the best 92 I've seen.
Tom Sharp, the former coach, played up forward and was very creative, kicking 2 goals in the forward line, and sort of had to float back at times just to try and put that extra number in the way of Gordon to restrict his influence as well.
Yeah, 100%. And the game just ebbed and flowed, didn't it? Right up until probably only 10 or 15 minutes to go, Hilly. We didn't know which way it was going to go, did we?
No, we didn't. And this man again, Toby Jennings, just very strong at the contest. You know, he's not huge in size, but just strong body-wise, that core strength and a beautiful finisher. And Here again, took a nice mark. It was one of our Macco Hire Player of the Day contenders. He took the mark and then just wheeled around and kicked a beautiful goal. So for a midfielder kicking 3 goals, that's a pretty good output, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. And they're all names that we know from Portland, aren't they, over the years? They are, certainly young lads. I'm getting old, I know, but you remember their dads playing or their uncles playing or whatever. They're all common names, but gee, they're good kids in their own right.
Absolutely. Connor Peters taking a nice mark there, and another one of those youngsters doing some good things. Zach Sinnott, big kick there towards the 50-metre line, and a nice mark taken there by Sam Gordon. He's just good in the air and down the ground, and as you said, didn't probably have the best day kicking. Kicked 3 goals for, but still pretty solid.
Yeah, absolutely. And as I said, I guess you can just see. And I thought, to be honest with you, early in the game, he might have been the difference between the two sides because they had that big forward that they were kicking, finding and kicking to all the time, whereas probably Portland more had to create their goals. But in the end, as I said, it was all those running blokes of Portland that got them over the line. Absolutely.
Last quarter here, and Sam Hampshire, this was the goal that put them in front. And, geez, they got up and about there. The boys over at the Potbelly were excited. The under-18 halves were equally as excited. And that put him in front. And then about 2 minutes later, he had a chance on the boundary to kick a goal. And, geez, he was absolutely centimetre perfect with this one.
Yeah, he was, mate. It's probably, Portland ground's probably conducive to being able to do that. It's not as wide as a lot of the ground. So even though you're tucked on the boundary line, it's probably a little bit sweeter place to be able to do it. And of course, conditions, I think they were pretty average in some places, but it was pretty still by the last quarter on Saturday, wasn't it?
Absolutely. And Dundon, a nice kick inside forward 50. And a beautiful mark there by Bailey Thompson. Had a few chances in the last quarter, but just couldn't convert. And that was some of our match of the round highlights from Portland and the Camperdown Magpies. So a good win there by 15 points from the Portland Tigers. Our Lucas brother Butcher snag of the day contenders. We had some good goals kicked. ABSALOM kicked an absolute beauty, as did Fraser Lucas. But we like this one from Sam Hampshire. Either pick of the two were sensational, but this one on the boundary, absolutely centimetre perfect. And at a time, it sort of elevated their lead to 9 points, and we thought that was pretty worthy.
Well, it was an important time, wasn't it, Hilly? That's the thing about that goal. It was as much the time it came at as well as it being a quality goal. But we were fortunate because we saw a few highlights there on Saturday.
Yeah, we absolutely did. Our Pit Stop MVP Player of the Year award, and this was unanimous, and we decided this one pretty early, after the game, and it was Ben Malcolm. Just a big game in the ruck. He rucked predominantly all day, and was just a huge player for the Tigers.
He was, and he was up against Rowbottom, who was battled pretty hard as well. And I reckon, he just wore him down over the day, didn't he? And we spoke about it again on Saturday, but how important he is to that Tigers outfit. All ruckmen are important, but given there's not a lot of height all around the place, it makes his job even bigger.
And I'll tell you what, he's having a really good season. I think last year, obviously having the year off, he had some body concerns, the previous years, but to have that year off last year, he's refreshed him.
What age is he, Hilly?
I'm not really sure, maybe mid-20s.
Yeah,
he's been around for a while.
He has. He seems to have been around forever, but you're right, he's sort of maybe mid to late 20s at the most.
Yeah.
So he's got probably his best footy ahead of him.
Yeah, hope so, because he's a terrific player. Hey guys, we're going to quickly go through just a couple of brief highlights of the other games throughout the course of the weekend, and this was a close one up the Cobden Rec Reserve. It was Cobden taking on South Warrnambool, and this one came down to the wire.
Absolutely it did, and the Cobden Bombers, we spoke about it, they're always hard to beat at Cobden. If you go down there, it's on. And they've always seemed to have been able to steel themselves for a game against South as well. So did it again Saturday.
Yeah, they did. And I think, our around the grounds person at the game said it was sort of, the South had a really good passage of play there where they might have kicked 2 or 3 goals and just got enough in front to maintain that lead. So the Roosters, 7-1, they're still going very nicely. Interested to sort of see the thoughts of their co-captain, Liam Ewell, on how they're trekking so far this year, and he's going to be our special guest very, very soon. We might move on to Terang Mortlake and the North Warrnambool Eagles at Ridley Recreation Reserve, and a big win by the North Warrnambool Eagles in a tune of 101 points.
Yeah, well, they've really hit their straps, haven't they? We talk about perhaps the South Warrnambool are yet to do that, like really gather strong momentum and really put sides away, but North, not in that bracket. It seems to be that maybe part of the turning point was the great win over Koroit. But They've just absolutely put Terang Mortlake away, haven't they?
Yeah, they have. And Billy Smets, first game back this season, and apparently, did a great job. I think, in excess of 25 disposals and had a bit of scoreboard pressure as well. So a player like him, isn't he, beneficial to that side?
Yeah, and he's a North boy. He's one of their own. You know what I mean? It's fantastic to have Billy back, and and again, he's not old in footy terms, and he's had plenty of experience. So let's hope we can and versatile. So let's hope we can get Billy firing in all cylinders, and gee, he's going to be one of the stars of the comp too.
Absolutely. Let's go to Hamilton and Koroit at Melville Oval, and the Saints. Well, they were a little bit inaccurate in front of goal, 14-19 for the day. In the end of the day, they've done it pretty easy against the Kangaroos, who again, young, no Levi Dare, as we spoke about last week, but they'll continue to improve under Gerard Fitzgerald. There's no doubt about that. They still probably just lack a little bit of polish.
Yeah, I wonder what sort of a hole that's going to leave with Dare missing. A big frame, big body, isn't he? And I sort of think, because we've spoken about Ben Malcolm at Portland, but you throw that sort of size bloke into any side, and they just have a presence, don't they? So I just wonder what effect that might have on Hamilton.
Well, I think Lockie Waddell's had to go into the ruck, obviously playing forward or centre half back. So yeah, it does reshuffle things a little bit. But
and it sounds like he played very well too.
Yeah, had a good game. There's no doubt about that. And the last game was Port Fairy taking on the Warrnambool Blues at the Gardens Oval in Port Fairy. And the Blues, a really good performance there with Sam Cowling leading the charge with 6 goals, and Austin Steer just continuing on his great year in the midfield.
Yeah, Austin Steer's been terrific. I reckon he had a terrific couple of years, really, Hilly, hasn't he? He's gone to another level. Sounds like there might have been a bit of a, not crisis, but there might have been a bit of an honesty session at Warrnambool, and perhaps a few home truths being delivered amongst players, which is never a bad thing. But they're pretty keen, I'd say, to improve a lot in the second half of the year.
Yeah, their next couple of weeks are pretty big eyes, because as you said, they're on the edge of the 5, and it's unusual to see the Blues not inside the top 5 over the last sort of 10, 12 years, so they'll be wanting to get back in there again this season.
Absolutely, they will. And I think they've taken on Koroit this week, don't they? So that might, you know what I mean? That's when we'll really see where they're at.
That's a big challenge, there's no doubt about it. So that was the highlights from round number 8, and obviously this weekend we go back to round number 7. So a few little, mixings of the draw just to get it right. Obviously with the COVID lockdown we had not that long ago. Hey, we're now to our first guest of the evening, and this fella's, I love the way he goes about his football. Co-captain of the South Warrnambool Roosters, a real hard in and under midfielder, and I'll speak none other than Liam Yuli. Thanks for joining us, mate. Great to have you on the show.
No worries. Thanks, Hilly. Thanks, Oz.
Hey, Yuli, you look at the ladder, 7-1, been a terrific start to the season for you guys. How have you sort of assessed, the start of the season for the South Warrnambool Roosters?
Yeah, no, it's definitely been promising. Obviously that one loss against Koroit, which, we sort of found out where we were after that. So without absolutely dominating through the year, I think we're slowly building, and hopefully by the end of the year, we're playing some pretty good footy.
And Yuli, do you feel like you are still gelling? I mean, plenty of people want to say that around the town, South, they're just taking time, and, it'll all come together. Because I guess you did get a lot of new players, and you're probably trying new things as well. But do you feel like it's just the improvement's going to come just by just getting a bit more cohesive?
Yeah, I think so. I think as the year's gone on, we've got better without absolutely, like I said, dominating sides. I think, we're definitely getting a bit of continuity with the players. Although we've sort of had a few ins and outs each week, so that sort of made it a bit hard, especially with the Rebels boys. But yeah, I think we're getting better as the year goes on.
Hey, I've been really impressed with some of the young ones that you've brought into the lineup. So as you said, that unavailability's been a little bit indifferent each week, just because of Rebels or whether injuries or unavailabilities. But the kids that you bring up and the depth you've got's been pretty impressive. But a couple of names I want to just run by you. Will White, Miles McCluggage are just two that have sort of really taken their opportunity pretty well, haven't they, the last few weeks?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, Whitey's he's been a gun in the juniors for a long time and kicks bags of goals. But when he's come up to senior level, to place it all, he's pretty smart around goals, and he's been able to put a few on the board. And with Miles, he's similar sort of play. He's just silky smooth and looks like he's got all the time in the world when he gets a footy. So yeah, they've definitely been really handy at senior level.
And you've had a look at everyone, obviously, and this question's probably asked a lot, but your thoughts on, who's the side to beat? I mean, we know what Koroyd have done in recent times, and we know how good they are, etc. But also, of course, you've played everybody. What do you think, where do you think improvement might come in perhaps even some of the opposition?
Well, we haven't played Portland yet. That's this week. So, yeah, apparently from all reports, they're going really well. But, yeah, like North Warrnambool and Camperdown, they've definitely been really good. So, yeah, definitely the top five is going to be pretty interesting. But, yeah, each week we're still learning about the opposition. So, sort of hard to get a bit of a gauge when it's sort of stop and start and a bit of a weird season. But, yeah, definitely the top five. Oh, definitely North and Camperdown have been pushing us the most, I'd say.
Hey, Yuli, I just want to ask you, mate, about two players, and you've got some AFL experience in that lineup. You know, Josh Saunders has come back and has looked absolutely sensational with the games that we've seen you guys play. And I also want to ask you just about Ricky Henderson and the influence he's had at the club, and how's he trekking on field? Have yet to sign him, and we look forward to seeing him this week in our match of the day with South Warrnambool and Portland. But how's Hendo settled in, and obviously nice to have Josh back.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, no, Ricky's been awesome. It's you don't normally get players like that come to your club straight out of the AFL system. So he's pretty much a running around as a coach on the ground. So it's awesome to be able to soak all that up, and the boys are really getting the most out of that. So yeah, he's been awesome. So is Josh. Same sort of thing. Brings leadership, and yeah, he's a gun midfielder. So it's sort of what we've been missing the last year or so. So, no, it's nice to have both of them back.
And Yuli, big loss from last year, Manny Sandow. Have you been still tinkering with the ruck and how that's going to work for you? Because I know Bexy's often thrown in there, Shannon Bex, when perhaps you need that little bit more through the rucking division. So are you still sort of tinkering with what you're doing in the ruck?
Not really. It's like Manny was a huge loss, obviously, but Ollie Bridgewater's came in and played that role right from the start, and he's getting better every week. So, his development's been awesome this year. So we have thrown Shannon in the ruck a little bit as well, just to give Bridgie a bit of a spell. But, yeah, no, we're really happy with how he's going.
And Yuli, before we let you go, mate, we really do appreciate your time tonight on the online show. But your form, mates, obviously, it must be nice to be to have that support in the midfield, because we know that you were probably one of the lone warriors in there for a little while, but now you've got that support with Hussey and Saunders and Henderson and a few more that can run through the ball. So what's your sort of role look like this year in the early stages?
I suppose we've got those fellas around me now, so it's a fair bit easier. It takes a bit of pressure off me. So, yeah, I'm just trying to play my role and captain with Nick as well. So, yeah, no, I'm just enjoying that at the moment. So, yeah, no, it's going well.
And you got, a star-studded lineup. We know that. But just a question out of left field, out of all of those stars, who do you reckon maybe has put it together as well as anyone, at this... we're sort of almost midpoint of the year, but who do you reckon's had as consistent a season as anyone, Yuli?
Well, I'd have to say Isaac Thomas at the minute. He's comes on leaps and bounds this year. He's been awesome in the back line. So this year has probably been no real standouts in terms of dominating, except for, I'd probably say Isaac's been awesome. So.
The reports from him, mate, has been sensational. And we heard, just on the weekend was a real rock of Gibraltar in that defensive 50 once again. Hey, Yuli, thanks for joining us on the program tonight, mate. We look forward to getting out to the Friendly Societies Park this weekend for our match of the day and having a look at you guys again against the improving Portland Tigers.
Yeah, no worries. Thanks, Hilly. Thanks, Oz.
Thanks, buddy.
Good man, Liam Yule, and
he's a great
good leader.
From a good family, mate.
Oh yeah, the great Gene, the great Gene Yule. He's
likes North Melbourne a little bit too much, but that's we'll forgive him for that.
Hey, let's go to our next guest on the Hampton League Live online show tonight, and I speak of the big man from North Warrnambool. He's having another great season in the ruck and also resting forward. I speak of big Juddles Jordan Dillon. Juddles, thanks for joining us.
G'day, Hilly. How you going?
Good. Looking relaxed there, big fella.
Just cruising, mate.
And the big fella working from the home office too currently, so obviously with the restrictions in place, great accountant, Big Juddles, but working from home, so just in the comfort wear, Juddles?
Just in the dining table at the moment, so I don't think
Ready
too
for
impressed.
tea, mate.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, Juddles, again, sort of like with Yuli, you look at the record, a 7-1 start to the season. A nice place to be after 8 rounds.
Yeah, definitely. It's been promising. We won a couple of close ones too, which we probably could have lost. And in years gone by, we have lost those ones. So it's really been a promising start. It's been good with so many young kids to come in and actually get those wins on the board and give them the confidence that, yeah, we're on the right track.
Hey, Jordan, I made the comment a little earlier. North just seemed to be really building momentum. I guess since, and not everything went right against Koroit in terms of, you lost a couple early and you probably had just come back and might have been, a little underdone, etc. But since that victory over Koroit, you seem to have grown a hell of a lot in confidence and you seem to be just building momentum. Is that a fair comment?
Yeah, definitely. That Koroit win was a real confidence booster for us all, and especially, as I said, the young lads that we've got in the side now, and we've got plenty that are coming through and can still get a game as we go forward. But yeah, to lose Tom Batten and Dill Parish in that game as well, just pushed on. And we probably had a few down weeks in terms of putting 4 quarters together. And then on the weekend was probably the closest we've come to that since the Koroit game. So it's, good to see. And hopefully now we can take that into the back half of the year.
Hey, Juddles, have you tinkered much with game plan or game structures in comparison to 2019? I've got to think of my seasons here because we didn't have a 2020 season, but has there been much change in the way you're playing your football in comparison to 2019?
Oh, not a huge amount of change. A lot of it with Wigsy's just working on the skills and being really good kicking and handball side. And it's probably giving that first option rather than trying to take a bloke on, which maybe we might have done before Wigsy come on in 19. But yeah, a lot of the same. It's pretty similar to what we were doing. It's just a bit of a personnel change that we've got now.
Hey, Geordie, the other thing I love the ruckman going at it, and you're one of the premier ruckmen in our competition, even though you spend a fair bit of time forward as well. But I was just going to ask, we saw Ben Malcolm play a ripping game on Saturday over at Portland. We've got some great ruckmen in the competition. Who do you like coming up against in terms of always gives you a really good battle contest?
Yeah, well, these days, as everyone gets a bit bigger and bigger, it's most games you come up with, it's a good battle. So,
Yeah.
But over the years, probably Jeremy Heusler from Koroit's been a good one to come up against. You mentioned Benny Malcolm. I enjoy coming up against him. It's good to see him with not as many injuries because he is a good young player. Dan Weymouth from Warrnambool, and obviously Levi was there for a long time. He's now left, but they're probably 4 of the ones that come to mind straight away.
And just further on from that, as a ruckman, are you honing your craft all the time? Like, are you just finessing and finding, how I can get to this spot a little bit better, I can cut a corner a bit better here? Are you sort of continually honing your craft as a ruckman?
Yeah, I think as I've got older, I've got a bit smarter with where I run, and you just get and using my body and taking marks around the ground's probably something that comes. It's probably not as easy when you're a bit younger, a bit lighter in the frame, but it's something that's definitely, as they say, you get better as you get older, as the bigger you get, or the bigger you are, sorry.
Yeah.
So it's something that's, come just with following around and watching other players play.
Hey, Juddles, I'll tell you what, I reckon over the next few weeks, selection's going to get a little bit tighter at North Warrnambool because obviously Billy Smet's back in the lineup. We probably haven't seen the best of Dillon Parish just due to some soft tissue injuries over the course of the year. Tyrone Vickery to get back in that lineup. Plus, a few of the boys you've got running in the GWV Rebels. So, spots are going to be pretty hotly contested, on the run home.
Yeah, I think definitely they will be. Obviously, Billy coming back on the weekend was really exciting. Dinger, hopefully he can get that hamstring right and get back on the park because that first quarter against Koroit, he looked really dangerous. So if we get him going back half of the year, playing up forward along with Ty if he comes on board, there's a fair bit of firepower there and pressure on spots for especially us big blokes because there's going to be a few of us.
Yeah. And do you feel like you're as well equipped as you've ever been out there, Jordan, in terms of what you've got at your disposal, talent-wise, and You know, I know luck, not luck. Well, luck with injuries often comes into it, but do you feel like you've got the group that can take you as as right to the end?
Yeah, definitely. Now that we've got that confidence in those young kids and we all get along so well, from me, who's 30 plus, to the young 16, 18-year-olds coming through. So that's a really important part, I reckon, not having a gap between us guys. And then we probably, at the start of the year, a lot of people probably saying, oh, you don't have as much talent as you were going to have in 2020 with those Geelong boys who unfortunately couldn't come back or they moved away. But yeah, in terms of thinking that we've got the right amount of cattle there, definitely we're really excited about the end of the year.
Yeah, it's an exciting time for the North Warrnambool Eagles. And mate, you take on the Hamilton Kangaroos this weekend as well, and there's just no easy games in Hampton League footy. Like, you know, the Kangaroos have dropped the last few, but that's not to say they could come out and surprise you. It's that sort of competition, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. It's good because you turn up every week knowing you've got a challenge and you're not going in thinking you're going to get smashed or you're going to smash the team. So it's pretty even competition in that regard, and it's a good challenge every week.
Mate, we really appreciate your time on not on Hampton League Live, on the Hampton League Online show this evening. It's great to catch up with you, and you're having another great season along with the North Warrnambool Eagles. So thanks for joining us, Juddles.
No worries, guys. Thanks very much.
Thanks,
we'll catch
buddy.
you later.
See you, Geordie.
I'll tell you what, a very humble
He's a
young
nice
fella, isn't he, Juddles?
Lovely fella.
And you know, a lot of people probably wouldn't know, but started his senior career at South Warrnambool as well, Eyes.
He did. I had a little bit to do with Jordan because I was president of the juniors there at that point in time when he was coming through, and he looked like he does now, without a beard probably. You know what I mean? He's always had that big frame and at times looked awkward and everything else, but my God, and probably still does. But geez, effective.
Yeah.
He gets the job done, doesn't he? One thing I didn't have a crack at him about, I often do, but just that kicking in front of goals sometimes, I tell you what, because he's dangerous when he goes forward. Because he's a big mark, and I'm not saying he's a terrible kick, but he has his days where he's better than others. But I'll tell you what, because he's capable of kicking a bag of goals too.
Well, I reckon there was one day we did a game and it was against maybe Croydon or Warrnambool, and I reckon he kicked 4 of his goals on the boundary, like just on those real tight angles, and just never looked like missing. So he can certainly hurt you on the scoreboard when the kicking boots are on.
And as I said, you watch him getting across the ground and stuff, and that's where I was talking to him about honing your craft as a ruckman, because I reckon I've noticed with him over the last couple of years how many corners he cuts, and that to not try and be at absolutely every contest, but to be at a lot, you know?
Yeah, no,
So
I think he's actually come on leaps and bounds the last couple of years, and is certainly one of the premier ruckmen in the competition. Hey guys, another big round of matches this weekend. We go back to round 7, so we were at round 8 last weekend. We go back to round 7, and that will take us through everyone playing one another, which is fantastic. And then I think after the break we get back to some sort of normality. But let's look at the games this weekend. I'd love to get your thoughts. Our match of the day on Hampton League Live is South Warrnambool will take you on the Portland Tigers, and what a big test for the Tigers.
Well, it's a beauty, and at least they're going to come here off the back of that win with a heap of confidence. South, it's a funny ground, isn't it? It can throw up a result for an opposition side. We've seen it. Yeah. We've seen Hamilton, it might be a couple of years now, maybe even 3 years ago now, that they threw out a big upset round. And Portland will come there and have a real crack at it. I suppose what worries me a little bit, Portland, is they can turn the footy over. You know what I mean? For as determined and how hard at it they are, they do turn it over a little bit, and they won't be able to afford to do that on the South Warrnambool ground against that opposition. But I tell you what, I'm looking forward to them taking them on just the same. I
reckon South Warrnambool's backline sort of very similar to Camperdown's. They like to run and carry and really bounce off that half backline. So, you know, Portland did well to curve that last week, but you know, you sort of can't give the likes of a Harry Lee or a Liam Mullen or an Isaac Thomas that chance just to run off and start creating down the ground.
Correct. But Portland probably play that sort of game as well, where they bounce off half back. Now, to do it on the friendlies, because you're bouncing off and basically it's one kick to your full forward. Yeah. Then South probably know the ground very, very well when they're going to do it on Saturday. But again, they certainly play that style. And I reckon, again, Ben Malcolm too is going to be, you know, really valuable to them. We spoke about Ollie Bridgewater, who's been terrific and has a real crack. So that's going to be a pretty good contest as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Looking forward to that one. The Cobden Bombers take on Terang Mortlake at the Cobden Rec Reserve, and gee, this should be a cracker as well. I know the Bloods will be looking to bounce back, and as will the Cobden Bombers, who have, their last 3 or 4 weeks have been pretty solid.
They've been pretty good, sometimes without winning, but and again, this wouldn't surprise me because Terang-Morley, if they can get there and get off to a start, get a bit of confidence that they're capable of winning. But I think at Cobden, I like how Cobden are going, and just being at Cobden, I reckon they might be in better form at the minute.
Yeah, hard to beat at the Cobden Rec Reserve, that is for sure. As we said with our guest Jordan Dillon, North Warrnambool will host the Hamilton Kangaroos at the Bushfield Oval, and you'd have to go in with North Warrnambool as overwhelming favourites.
Yeah, for sure. Again, Hamilton are capable of throwing in a good game, but I reckon North are nearly in the best form of any side right at the minute.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree.
And what I reckon they're doing now is not just winning games; they're putting sides right away, and they'll be looking to do the same with Hamilton.
Yeah, I think they'll be confident going in. But as I said to Jordan, you just can't take these games too lightly, though, can you? Because there's always an upset on the horizon if you just go a little bit complacent. I'll tell you what, I'm looking forward to seeing how this one pans out. It's Camperdown taking on Port Fairy at the Lura Oval. The response from both sides after their losses on the weekend, and the one I'm concentrating on is probably more Camperdown, to see what their response is like, considering they're in a good spot inside the 5.
Well, if they're not going to come out breathing fire this week, I don't think they're going to at all.
Yeah.
Because, Port's opposition they should be beating, to be fair. I reckon in some respects Port's been a little disappointing. But having said that, Port have enough stars on the ground that they can still make it happen, you know what I'm saying? So you'd be looking for both sides to go out and be attacking the ball pretty hard early. But I reckon we'll see Camperdown maybe deliver a message on Saturday.
I think they've just got a bit more up forward than what the Seagulls have. They've probably just struggled to kick a score this year, Port Fairy. And, due to a big change of personnel, they've lost some quality, and it's, Winners is doing a great job along with Shane Truffle as well. And the last game, Koroit host the Warrnambool Blues at Victoria Park, and I look forward to seeing how the Blues, go against one of their arch nemesis. They've had some great contests over the last decade, and hopefully we see another one on the weekend.
They love playing each other, don't they? Be interested to see what the conditions are like Saturday too. What we get, we haven't had first game of the year was a horror, but we haven't had any real messy ones. But that might have a little bit to do with some of these results on Saturday as well. But again, hard to see Warrnambool beating a Koroit. To be fair, there's just so many stars in that Koroit lineup, and too many of them have to have a bad day, I think. But having said that, Warrnambool have an opportunity after bouncing back strongly on Saturday to send a message to the competition, haven't they?
Yeah, Koroit are in good form.
Yeah,
they're playing some good footy, aren't they?
Yeah. No, I don't think I'd want to be back against Koroit.
Hey guys, well that's round number 7, and looking forward to some games this weekend. And it was just good to have crowds back last week. Now, before we go, we must mention our all-important sponsors. Without these sponsors, our league just doesn't function. And our 4 major partners, Lindock Living. I know we're doing the Pie Night in mid-July. Big fella's very excited about that. And
he's on nibble pies now.
He's on the nibble pie, he is too. But that's going to be exciting, and it'd be good to get out and see the residents of Lindock. I know we have a lot of viewers and listeners on the coverage on the weekend, so it'd be great to see the team at Lindock.
That'll be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And like you said, I reckon they're people that do religiously tune in too. So it'd be great.
McDonald's, we see McDonald's. They're very community orientated. I know, looking at the game on the weekend, they've got the new team boards, and I've seen Camperdown and Portland both using those. So the team at McDonald's, we thank you as well. SunGold fresh local milk, it's the best going around.
Oh, SunGold, hey? If you're going to drink milk, make it SunGold.
Absolutely, and we always see all the clubs with SunGold products at the ground as well. And PowerCore, great to have them on board. They love the local community, especially in Warrnambool. The Melbourne and Warrnambool Cycling Classic the last couple of years, and now the Hampton League. Another big coup for the Hampton League to have such a great organisation.
And big corporate sponsors, it's just invaluable, isn't it? You spoke about McDonald's, but equally PowerCore, because if you think of PowerCore as a company, you don't necessarily think of sport, do you?
Yeah.
And yet they throw their money into communities.
Yeah.
And I reckon it's magic.
Yeah, no, it's fantastic. So to have those 4 major partners, along with many others, Chittix Pies and the like, and SunGold and Fresher as well.
Yeah.
No, we're very, very lucky. Hey guys, Been great to talk footy with you, mate.
Hey, yeah, well, I hope we'll talk some sense.
On that note, we'll call it quits, and we look forward to seeing you next Wednesday night. Don't forget to tune in to our Hampton League Live Match of the Day on the weekend, or through the live stream on the 3YBFM Facebook app, and our game is South Warrnambool and Portland. Until then, we'll see you at the footy, and we'll see you next Wednesday night.
Oh, yeah.